Alright y'all, today we're going to be doing a Lauri Markkanen build. He is averaging literally 30 points a game so far, about 13 games into the NBA season. So I had to make a build because 30 points average for Lauri Markkanen on the Jazz is insane. So this build is actually going to be really good for a scoring 4-man. You're going to be a power forward with a 7-foot height, 240 weight, and then a 7-foot wingspan. There are mixed reports about Lauri Markkanen's height based on his height being 7'1 or 7 foot or even 6'11. So I went 7 foot because 7'1 makes your build way slower, and I do want this build to be able to move around a bit. 240 is his listed weight, and 7 foot is his lowest wingspan you can get. Some people have him listed at 6'11 or 7 foot. So you actually can't go lower than 7 foot in 2K. You can't go lower than your height on wingspan. So I just put it at the lowest wingspan possible because Lauri Markkanen has a negative wingspan basically in real life. So this is the build you're going to make. You want to hit continue, and I'm going to show you every single attribute and explain every single one here because this build gets incredible attributes, and you don't even really need to use a bunch of cap breakers to make this build insane. First attribute we're going to talk about here is the close shot. Close shot is tied to your mid-range shot, which we're going to talk about later. So like I said, the close shot is tied to your mid-range shot. If you lower your close shot lower, your mid-range shot won't be a 90, and we do want the mid-range at a 90 because we're going to be using some cap breakers on it. Driving layup is also a 90 as well. 90 driving layup will give you gold physical finisher, and you're going to be able to finish a bunch in the paint. Lauri Markkanen is a great finisher in the paint, and you want to make sure you're abusing that part on this build because a 7-foot player with a 90 driving layup is going to be able to finish over basically anyone. 80 driving dunk is because we do get the gold aerial wizard with that. You also unlock some animations at 80 driving dunk, and the other option is to get up to 84. 84 is really not valuable at all. You're going to get your bronze posterizer and your gold aerial wizard at 80. 84 driving dunk doesn't give you anything, so we're just going to keep it at an 80 here. Standing dunk is an 81. The reason you have it at 81 is to get the gold rise up badge. You're going to be able to get the big man contact dunks. If you go over the contact dunks here, you have to go to dunks and then go down to the standing contact dunks. You're going to be able to get the first ones. So you get the pro big man contact dunks. We're not going to go up to a 90 standing dunk on this build because Lauri Markkanen, while he does dunk occasionally, he does posterize people sometimes. He's not really standing dunking on everyone. So we're going to have the pro big man contact dunks. These are the only contact dunks you can get on the build because all the other ones like off 1 or off 2 require an 87 or higher driving dunk. So unfortunately we're not going to be able to get those, but we are looking at an 81 standing dunk to get the silver rise up. That's the reason we have it at an 81 instead of an 80. 77 post control gets you silver post badges as well as bronze unpluckable and bronze post powerhouse. You do actually have to tie some other upgrades into your attributes if you want to get this post control upgraded to get more gold badges. You are actually able to get gold post fade phenom by just spending 2 cap breakers on your post control to get up to 79. You can actually use 1 cap breaker on post control on this build and it upgrades it by 3. So you can actually get your post control up to an 80 with 1 cap breaker, and you'll be able to get gold post fade phenom, which is a good badge for Lauri Markkanen to have, and you can be able to fade in the post all over the place with this high mid range and high 3 ball. Now going over to the shooting, Lauri Markkanen this year has been a great shooter all around. He's been knocking down his threes, knocking down mid range shots. So we're going to make sure we have the 3-point maxed out at a 90. This will give you chef takeover, or they call it deep bomber this year. This takeover will allow you to shoot from anywhere on the court when you unlock it. So that's the reason we have it at a 90 here. 90 mid-range shot is just to make sure we can get the gold post fade phenom without using any cap breakers. And then you're actually going to be spending 4 cap breakers on this attribute to get it all the way up to a 94. Make sure you use shooting specialization on this build. Use 2 cap breakers to get your mid-range up, and use your other 2 cap breakers from just other cap breakers you have laying around. Make sure you use those as well to get your mid-range shot up to a 94. Having a 94 mid-range on this build will get you Hall of Fame set shot specialist, gold deadeye, and gold post fade phenom when you spend another cap breaker on your post control, like I said earlier. So 91 free throw is also going to be making it super easy to shoot on this build. You'll be able to score every time they foul you in the paint, which you're going to be getting fouled a lot because you're going to go for layups, go for dunks. You're going to get fouled every once in a while, and you need to make sure you can knock down those free throws. The ball handling and the speed with ball are both maxed out at 74 and 60. 60 speed with ball at 7 foot will give you Giannis dribble style, or pro dribble style I believe is at 70. So you will need to use the Giannis dribble style, which is a requirement of 55 speed with ball. Ball handle at 74 will allow you to be able to dribble a little bit on the build. You're going to have bronze handles for days, bronze unpluckable, and you're not going to get strong handle or ankle assassin unfortunately, but this will unlock some dribble animations at 74. You can definitely get some pro animations. I believe they're unlocked at 70. 76 pass hack is always the sweet spot on the build. If you're not making a passing specific build, I would recommend still getting this to a 76 because you get silver versatile visionary, silver break starter, and silver dimer, which are all very valuable badges. Now the defense on this build is actually a little bit better than what Lauri Markkanen would actually have. 77 interior defense is tied to your paint patroller badge. If you get up, if you use 5 cap breakers on your block, you can get your paint patroller badge up to gold and your high flying denier up to Hall of Fame. So that's the reason it's an 88 here. 88 is also tied to your high flying denier to get up to gold. So even without using cap breakers on your block, you can still get your high flying denier all the way at gold without needing to use any cap breakers. And the 77 interior defense is also just tied to paint patroller, like I said. So you're not going to spend any cap breakers on interior defense. You're just going to make sure it's sticking at 77 to get the gold paint patroller. Perimeter defense is maxed out on this build. You can't bump it up any higher than this. You will get bronze immovable enforcer and silver off-ball pest, which are both 2 decent badges. The thing is, on this build, you're not going to be a great perimeter player. You can jump at contest with your block rating, which will allow you to get contests on bigger players, which is very, very nice. 7-4s are not good anymore in this year's 2K, so you don't need to worry about them. 60 steal is just to make sure you get the bronze interceptor. I always make every single one of my builds have at least bronze interceptor if possible, because this badge is so valuable on this game. Interceptor steals are very good. Now looking at the rebounding, we're going to have 75 offensive and 85 defensive. The reason I said 85 is to get the gold box out beast. You're going to have gold box out, silver rebound chaser. You're going to be able to close possessions on this build as a power forward, as a 7-footer. You can even play center on this build sometimes, but this build is going to thrive at power forward, honestly. The speed and agility are probably the worst aspects on the build because the weight is 240. One thing I would do if you were looking to make a build that's less exactly like Lauri Markkanen is to lower the weight down to like 220. You can get your speed and agility way up and your strength would still be able to get 75. But since this is Lauri Markkanen's exact measurements, that's what I'm always using to make these NBA player builds. I'm also trying to make the builds as good as possible for 2K, but I'm also just working around the fact that these are his actual measurements. So 71 speed and 60 agility are both maxed out attributes. The reason we have them there is just to make sure you max them out every single time you have a build. Always max out your speed and agility if possible, unless it's like a super small point guard, which in that point, it's not even worth it to max them out. Strength is a 75. The reason it's here is to get the gold physical finisher. You do get a bunch of bronze strength badges as well, like bronze immovable, post powerhouse, post lockdown, and brick wall. So the strength attribute at 75 is very versatile. You can spend cap breakers on this as well, but you're only getting +1 for each cap breaker. Vertical is at an 83. The reason for that is to get your pogo stick to Hall of Fame just from stock. And then the vertical is also tied to your high flying denier to make sure you can get up to the Hall of Fame high flying denier. When you spend your 5 cap breakers on block to get up to a 93, you only need to spend 4 to get up to 92 and get the Hall of Fame high flying denier. So that is going to wrap it up for the attributes on this build. I'm going to hit start, show you guys the player comps. Unfortunately, we do not get Lauri Markkanen. We get Rashard Lewis, Anthony Davis, and Chris Webber. Rim Reaping 3-level creator. It's a very, very solid name. The only Hall of Fame badge you're getting stock is Pogo Stick, but you're going to spend your cap breakers to get a couple more. And then there's no weaknesses on the build. Strengths are efficient mid-range, stretches floor, great instincts as a rim protector, and very effective defensive rebounder. Obviously, this build is about as good offensively as you can get on a 7-foot build, which is exactly what Lauri Markkanen does. So I'm going to hit advance. I'm going to show you guys the cap breakers that I'd recommend using on this build, and then we're going to move on from there. So the first cap breakers I'd recommend spending on this build are actually going to be 9 separate cap breakers. At this point in the year, you should easily have 9 because it's showing I have 12 in the top left there. I actually do have 14 because I haven't selected build specialization on this build yet. So make sure that you're using your cap breakers on these attributes I'm telling you right now. Use your build specialization on shooting. Spend your first 2 shooting cap breakers on mid-range shot to get up to 92. Spend 2 of your real cap breakers to get your mid-range shot up to a 94. Max that thing out. You can actually just stick at 93 if you want, but I think 94 is more valuable because there's nothing else I'd rather spend on the build. After that, you're going to spend 5 of your cap breakers on your block rating. So if you count that up, that's only 2 of your real cap breakers spent and then 5 spent here. So it's a total of 7 real cap breakers spent. You should easily have 7 cap breakers at this point in the year if you're still playing the game a bunch. If you only have 2 or 3, spend them on your mid-range shot, get up to 93, and then start working on your block rating. As you're working and grinding your way through cap breakers, throw them on your block rating to get up to a 93 eventually. And then if you want, you can spend the last cap breaker on your mid-range to get up to a 94. But mid-range 93 is all you need to unlock all the badges that are possible in this build using cap breakers. So as soon as you spend all of those cap breakers on your block and your mid-range shot, you have 5 cap breakers remaining. What I would recommend spending that on, you can throw it on your driving layup if you really want to, or in your close shot. One thing I would recommend, as I almost forgot to say, is spending on your close shot right away is very good. As soon as you upgrade your mid-range and your block, spend your first cap breaker on close shot, get up to an 80 rating. You're going to get up to a gold post fade phenom, and that is a very valuable badge to have on this build. 80 post control will allow you to do a bunch of stuff in the post. But looking at the rest of the cap breakers, there's nothing else that's super valuable to throw on the build. You can upgrade your pass accuracy if you want. You can continue upgrading post control, but you need to throw some attributes on other things like close shot and strength and stuff like that. It wouldn't be super valuable to do that. But yeah, this build has not a bunch of cap breaker potential, but this build is just all around good. So if you don't have cap breakers, or if you do have cap breakers, this build is still going to be really good for you. That is going to wrap it up for this video here. If you guys do want the Lauri Markkanen face scan that I'm using, it'll be linked in the end screen here. But that is going to wrap it up for this one. I'll catch you in the next one. Signing off for now.